You guys are not an exchange, you're a monetary system. Very interesting.
We have this tokenized gold and silver. There are pairs you won't find really anywhere else in the world. Why not pay all of your employees in gold and then let them exit into the fiat or their fiat of choice whenever they want to do so? Our tokens are backed one-to-one by physical gold and silver that are in vaults. And this is in your name. The token gives you legal ownership of the physical. And why that's important is because gold is the...
What's going on, everybody? In today's video, I'm sitting down with Chris Huff, who is the Global Partner Program Manager for a new exchange that we have partnered with called Kinesis. If you've never heard of them, you're about to hear some great things, and I just about guarantee you, if you make it to the end of the video, you will be rushing into the description to sign up for a Kinesis account today. But stick around as I ask Chris some very important questions that you need to know about before getting this Kinesis account. And by the end of the video, like I said, if you're not running to get it, I don't know what's wrong with you. Check this out. I'll talk to you after the video. What's going on, Chris? I'm so glad you're able to join the channel here today and answer some of our questions about Kinesis. I'm super excited about our partnership, but I know there's going to be a lot of things that our audience is going to want to know about you guys before they're willing to jump in. So let's just kind of start with the very basics. Tell me about Kinesis, the origins, the team that built it, and why the company came to be in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kinesis actually has been around since 2017, 2018, somewhere in there, probably conceptualized 2016, maybe a little bit earlier. We did do, we have a token, the KVT token we can get into later. We ICO'd with that. It did not ICO in the United States. The guys here are brilliant, and they were ahead of the curve and realized if you ICO in the United States, there was potential to be deemed a security in the future. So that's one of the reasons as a United States audience, maybe you guys haven't heard of us as much, but make no mistake, Kinesis is a monster. We're huge in Europe, huge in Asia, huge in a lot of these other countries, including Australia. The team is global, right? The kind of upper management is and financial is Australia. We have a lot of programmers over in Eurasia. We have a lot of customer service in Central and South America. Our marketing team, which I'm a part of, is out of the UK, though I'm actually based in the United States in Florida. I'm on the UK team. I was one of the first people hired in the United States as we are entering this phase of making a push here in the United States. So one of the first hired here, but certainly there's a couple of us now. And Kinesis is very interesting. We'll get into it in a minute, what the need is, why Kinesis was kind of created. But yeah, we've been around for 8 years. I don't know if that makes you a veteran in the crypto space. It probably does. 8 years, I think, is a long time for a crypto company at this point. But yeah, Kinesis is alive, well, growing. Your audience is going to see a big push here in the United States, I'd say, over the next several months. So yeah, exciting time.
Yeah, I mean, 8 years out of 16 or so at this point. You're around for half of them. I think you're beating out the majority of crypto businesses at this point. Yeah, that's super cool. Good to know. Actually, I didn't know that Kinesis was that old. I know there's a lot. We're going to cover a lot of different things in this video. But before we get into maybe some of the coolest features of Kinesis, let's just start with what sets you guys apart. What's different about Kinesis that maybe other exchanges and competitors don't necessarily bring to the table?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. Kinesis is, so when you kind of enter the Kinesis ecosystem, our platform is called the KMS, stands for Kinesis Monetary System. Kinesis is a monetary system, and that's a very big concept to wrap your head around, right? I've been here just over 2 years. And even when I got hired, I was hired for a very specific purpose to create this partner program, which you guys are a part of. It's basically an affiliate program. But even when I was brought on and started getting this concept of, oh, we're a monetary system, it's the Kinesis monetary system, it took me a long time to wrap my head around that and fully realize what that means and what that entails. And so at the center of Kinesis, right, is tokenized gold and silver. So we can get into that in a minute, but certainly our fees are low. We try to make onboarding and offboarding as simple as possible. Because we have this tokenized gold and silver, there are pairs you won't find really anywhere else in the world as far as trading between gold and silver or digital gold and silver. We call them KAU and KAG. Those are our gold and silver tokens. So trading between those and crypto, Bitcoin, we have tons and tons of pairs on our platform. And then interesting thing with being a monetary system is the off-ramping, right? So you can off-ramp into dollars, but you can also off-ramp into Australian dollars or Canadian dollars or Singapore dollars. All of these different fiat currencies are available. And why that's important is because gold is the great equalizer, right? If I send someone in another country gold, an ounce of gold is an ounce of gold, and I send this to them digitally, they can now exit into their kind of fiat of choice into their bank account. And all of a sudden, we can transact without kind of the standard FX swaps. And it is very interesting because one other advantage this gives us is FX trading. The licenses are crazy. Trading currency, the licenses are crazy. It's very difficult for a platform to operate in that space, right? Well, there's this kind of loophole where if you go from currency to gold and gold to another currency, you're not currency swapping per se. So it's interesting because in a roundabout way, you can get in and out of different currencies in Kinesis as well. So that's obviously a very interesting angle when you're trading. So there's a lot here, but yeah, you tell me what you kind of want to lean into and let's get after it.
Yeah, I think that concept when I first met you, monetary system, it threw me for a loop as well. Because again, you're used to it. If you say the word exchanges, places where people can go buy and sell their cryptocurrency. Again, we're going to talk about gold and silver here in a little bit. You guys are the only place that people can actually buy digital gold and digital silver, and it's not just some code somewhere. It's actually backed up by physical gold and silver. I think that part's cool, but the monetary system part, like going back and forth across countries, exchanging it back and forth, not having to deal with fiat exchange rates and everything else. We'll talk about a lot more of the fees and other cool features, but I thought that was really cool as well. You guys are not an exchange, you're a monetary system. Very interesting.
Let me give you one example. And it's crazy the stuff you learn being in the kind of this global environment. But let's just take a business use case of a company that does shipping. Okay, mm-hmm. These big, huge barges with all the shipping containers you see on them. Apparently, the staff that works on these ships are from any and every country you can think of. Now, think of doing payroll. What that means is you have to swap your dollars or whatever your currency is into all of these different fiat currencies to make payroll every month. Nightmare. So we actually have some avenues that we're getting into where a great example of a business use case for Kinesis is why not pay all of your employees in gold and then let them exit into the fiat or their fiat of choice whenever they want to do so. So what this means is all of that hassle is gone. You're now doing payroll in gold to all these different people that come from all these different countries, and they're exiting into their fiat of choice or crypto. I mean, let's face it, Bitcoin is obviously huge. I'm a huge fan of Bitcoin, huge fan of crypto. I was actually head of growth at Dash for a little stint, and then I was over at Salt Lending for a while before landing here at Kinesis. But I'm very well versed in our current monetary quagmire we find ourselves in, right? This debt-based fiat system. So it's a great fit for me here, but make no mistake that crypto is in the game as well, but these tokenized assets, right? That's a new term that's going to be coming. That's where this is going. We're going to start tokenizing assets. And as long as the companies can prove they have the assets that back up the digital tokens, things become very, very interesting. So this is just the tip of the iceberg for Kinesis and cryptocurrency as a whole, and blockchain. Blockchain is what makes this possible. So yeah, we can go whichever direction, but just think about what that opens up. We're not worried about currencies anymore. We're not worried about that. Gold is the great equalizer, and you exit into your currency whenever you need to.
Yeah, very good stuff. I want to transition into the gold and silver detail, and I'm aware that most of our listeners are heavy crypto investors. I know we got a lot of people out there that still invest in gold and silver. You know, we preach diversification heavily, and gold and silver are a great place there too. But I love what you even kind of were just talking about, the bridging of using the blockchain technology, which of course every crypto person is going to love, but bringing that into the gold and silver equation. And, there's places out there that advertise, buy digital gold here, buy digital silver here. But to my understanding, technically, when you're buying it, you're kind of buying a cryptocurrency that might be pegged to say gold or silver. But as we know, things can unpeg if liquidity is not there. You guys are different because you're actually backing up every single coin that's bought. You have to remind me the names of the coins, but you actually, when people buy an ounce of gold in the digital currency on your website, there's an ounce of physical gold that is backing up. And if I ever wanted and said, hey, I need that physical gold, you guys are going to send that to me, correct?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. So this is the idea. And again, this is not to knock Bitcoin at all. This is a separate conversation. Bitcoin is fantastic. Bitcoin is going higher. Great investment opportunity. I think that you are correct in that there's some diversification here. And I think now with a digital version of gold and silver, swapping in and out of these highly volatile cryptos at times into what's considered more safe haven gold or silver is a fantastic solution for traders. And let me give you a quick example. I have on my staff a partner manager who is our trading partner manager. She specializes in this kind of thing. And she does different leverage trading, which we don't do on Kinesis, but she does it on other exchanges. She's now opened up to this idea of, after I make these trades, I'm now exiting out into gold with the click of a couple buttons, as opposed to into dollars. Why? Because if I want to take the dollars, I don't want to leave them on the exchange. And if I want to take them into my bank, I get a million questions, and it's a nightmare, and fees and all these different things that she doesn't want to deal with, and big traders don't like dealing with either. So now she just exits into Kinesis in gold, holds her profit in gold, holds even her kind of base core money in gold, and waits for her next trade. So that's how she, as a professional trader, utilizes Kinesis. So there's a lot here for your audience that trades crypto, as far as a different place to exit that is a safe place to exit, and our gold and silver tokens. And again, I'll remind you again, KAU, right? AU is the periodic table for gold. K, Kinesis AU, Kinesis Gold, and KAG, AG is the periodic table for silver. So KAG is our silver token. So those are our tokens, KAU and KAG, and they are backed one-to-one by physical. We can get into that in a moment. And this is important. This is how the monetary system used to be. The scam over the last 70 to 100 years, the scam was removing the gold backing from the fiat. Now the fiat is worthless. It's worthless. And why did they do that? You cannot print money if it's backed by gold. Why? You have to have the gold to back the money up. That's how you get new currency, and supply is acquiring more gold. So if you want to pay your bills and expand your monetary base and really just, money gun everything under the sun as a country, right? You want to print to oblivion and just start handing that out. Now, that's been accomplished because they removed the backing of gold from the money supply. So what Kinesis has done is brought gold into this digital age where now our tokens are backed by gold, and you have an alternative to dollars. As hyperinflation happen, as this craziness continues, and trust me, it's going to get more wild. We haven't seen anything yet. And what this ultimately looks like, again, Bitcoin's going to go. So that's in this conversation too. But what this looks like is, let's say milk goes from, $8 a gallon to $40 a gallon, right? Goes 5x. If you're in dollars, you are decimated. You're not eating. You're not drinking milk, right? Now, if milk goes from $8 to $40, silver or gold, let's say they do a 10x. Guess what? By sitting in gold, I can now buy more milk than I could before milk and gold made their moves.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how you not only protect yourself, right, in a inflationary environment where money is burning down all around us, but you actually, in real terms, profit. And you are more wealthy than you were before this started. Now, yes, Bitcoin's going to do the same thing too, but you have these two classes of people in my mind. You have the up and coming younger generation that understand crypto, blockchain, and Bitcoin, right? And that is their way out of the system. But
Mm-hmm.
trust me, there's a whole class and a whole area of wealth that's older that doesn't understand Bitcoin, but they understand gold and silver. And this is not a knock on Bitcoin. I actually said this earlier to someone. Bitcoin can be seen as money, sure. Gold and silver can be seen as money. What is the key difference? The key difference is history. Gold and silver have, especially gold, have thousands of years of history to support it being money. Bitcoin has not even 20. And I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying 20 years in the grand scheme of human history is nothing. It's nothing. And again, that's not knocking. This is a new technology. It's fantastic. Blockchain is changing everything. Without Bitcoin, Kinesis wouldn't exist. We wouldn't even be having these conversations. But I'm just saying there are several forms of money now. You can choose your favorite. But the great thing is, if you're paying attention, you can make some swaps and profit even more than you would have by sticking it out in one asset.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. Again, we are a crypto, facing channel. Again, as I said earlier, we preach diversification. I'm a big fan of people having some of their wealth stored in Bitcoin long term and gold and silver. Like, we act like there has to be some sort of battle or race between the two of them. And if there was, I'm just going to put it out there. I think that someone $1,000 in Bitcoin today, I believe, will be worth more than $1,000 in gold in 20 years. That being said, what if I'm wrong? What if something does happen to Bitcoin? You want to be diversified just in case. I also love some stuff you said there, Chris, about inflation. In case people didn't know, you said it there, and you're talking about going off the gold standard. For those who don't know, the dollar has lost 96% of its value since going off the gold standard that Chris is talking about. So that trend's going to continue. The dollars are going to continue. If you live in a different country and you operate with a different currency, odds are your percentage is even worse than the 96% that the dollar has lost. But let's talk about another reason, Chris, that you haven't gotten into yet. And I'm surprised. I thought you were going to get into it during this last answer because you were getting really excited, because this is one of the things that excited me the most when I learned about you guys. I'm a big believer. I'm going to set this up pretty nicely for you. Smack it out of the park. Sure. I'm a big believer in this bull market. I want to make a good amount of wealth. I want to buy a house. I want to do things. But I don't know about all the listeners, and I don't know about you, Chris. I want to make enough wealth that I can invest in a way that I don't have to do anything and I can make money, passive income. And so looking for investments, even if it's not, 100% a year, looking for things that I can just let my money sit and be secure, but I'm getting a guaranteed return on my investment, is something I'm constantly looking for as I build wealth. Over the last couple of years, I went from being a paycheck to paycheck person 5 years ago to now I'm thinking about retirement. I'm thinking about my next investment. I'm thinking about setting myself up for a lifetime of success. Something really cool about Kinesis's digital gold and digital silver is a lot of crypto people will be familiar with the phrase yields. If you're staking your Ethereum, you're staking your Solana, you get a yield back. There's a very similar system here with the gold and silver. I want you to tell us about it, and I'll kind of, if I need to clean up at the end, I'll clarify the difference between this and crypto staking and why this is actually potentially more secure. Why don't you tell me about the details of kind of, let's say it's staking your gold and silver with Kinesis?
Yeah. So in my mind, staking implies locking it up. So I just want to clarify.
Good
clarification. You don't have to lock anything up. This is truly passive income. The moment you're done and you want to transfer out of KAU or KAG, do it. Pull the trigger. There's nothing locking you into it. So this is where this monetary system comes into play. Okay. So basically what happens is there are fees to swap in and out of gold and silver with Kinesis. Now, I think we were talking a little bit earlier before we started recording about Coinbase. You may know better than me, but our fees for swaps are 0.22%. So to swap from Bitcoin to gold, to swap from dollars to gold, that's 0.22%, 0.0022. That's what you pay. That's it, right? To send, it's a little bit more expensive. It's 0.45%. So if I'm sending my gold from my wallet to yours, to somebody else's that lives in another country, whatever, 0.45% is the send or the spend cost, right? 0.0045. So those are our fees. And so we can get into how that compares. You probably know a lot more about
the other day I was swapping some tokens around, and it's 1% flat fee to swap around in the exchange. Yes.
There you go. So you're less than a quarter of the cost. So that's a huge deal there. But what happens with Kinesis? Let's call this revenue sharing, okay? Because that's what it is. With Kinesis, all of those fees we bring in over the month go into what we call a master fee pool. Okay, so the fees from all these transactions go into master fee pool. That master fee pool is divvied up and paid back to our users in the form of yields for participating within the system in certain ways. Okay, so I'll explain that for you. But just to clarify, when I swap in and out of gold or silver, I pay my fee in gold or silver. I pay the fee, the 0.22 or the 0.45 in KAU or KAG, depending on what I'm swapping. So the master fee pool is comprised of gold and silver. So when these yields are divvied out, they're divvied out in gold or silver. You're not getting paid dollars. You're not getting paid something worthless. You're getting paid real gold and silver. And I think we should back up because I need to qualify some things for you. Our tokens are backed 1-to-1 by physical gold and silver that are in vaults. And this is in your name. The token gives you legal ownership of the physical. They're one and the same. The token is the physical is the token. It's all accounted for to the fact that we do twice a year independent audits. And this is a fascinating process, right? We actually freeze all the vaults. We have 16, 17 vaults, something like that, all around the world. And we freeze all these vaults, no gold or silver in or out. And this independent audit firm comes in twice a year randomly, and they count up all the gold and silver. Before this happens, we do a snapshot of the blockchain, right? Your audience should understand that. And then they produce this report that marries the physical to the blockchain. Here's how much KAU and KAG are on the blockchain. Here's how much physical gold and silver are in the Kinesis vaults. Kinesis is the custodian. Some people get freaked out. We're a fairly open company. So when people examine our books, they kind of gasp because there's not as much gold or silver on our books as they think there should be, because my gold and silver that I own, or yours if you get involved, that doesn't sit on Kinesis books. It's not Kinesis's asset. This is very important to understand. It's your asset by law if you hold the digital. Now, not only is it legally yours by holding the digital, not only do we do these audits, we obviously have insurance, huge. The other thing that this comes from the gold and silver world is this Bailey agreement. This is kind of a concept that comes from the gold and silver world. If something catastrophic were to happen to Kinesis, okay, a Bailey spins up, this is the Bailey agreement, and they contact everyone that has gold and silver stored with Kinesis, and they ask them where they want their metals sent. So you think about that. It's not going anywhere. Kinesis doesn't have the right to take it in some liquidation event, or they go bust and they take all your gold and silver. It doesn't work like that because it's not legally Kinesis's. We're just a custodian of your gold and silver, okay? So the insurance, the audits, the Bailey agreement, all of these things close the gap to what is called third-party risk. So this is a big deal. Now, back to the yields. When the yields come in, they come in KAU or KAG, depending on how you've participated. And that means you're yielding actual gold and silver that's fully redeemable. And you mentioned this earlier, but when I say redeemable, there's certain minimums. But once you have the minimum amount, if you want to redeem the physical, you literally send the tokens to the Kinesis wallet. A Brinks truck shows up to your house with your physical gold and silver, if that's where you want it. So that's how this works. And at the end of the day, when we have these conversations and we have all these safeguards in place and all these things in place to prove we have the metals in a world where everything is rehypothecated, right? We don't do that. But at the end of the day, if you still don't trust Kinesis, put some dollars on the platform, swap into gold and silver, and redeem it. You will receive it. That's just how it works, because that's the nature of this. Now, this is, and I try not to overplay this, but again, I know a lot about the financial system and where money has come from and all these different things. And this is one of the most important things to happen to money possibly ever. First is the physical gold and silver becoming digital. That's a big deal. But the second is one of the portion of this yield pool is called the holders pool. Okay. Now the holders pool is 15% of all of the fees that come into Kinesis. So very simple. All the fees that come in that we collect, 15% of those are actually divvied out at the end of the month. It's the beginning of the following month, but they go to people that hold gold on platform. What does this mean? This means gold is now a yield bearing or dividend bearing asset. Okay. When people are uninterested in gold, they say things like, oh, it doesn't do anything. Well, that's because you can invest in the stock market. The stock can go up, but you're also earning a dividend. So there's this passive income and the price of the stock fluctuating, right? We all understand that. Gold has never, throughout the course of history, and still to this day, doesn't do it anywhere else but Kinesis. But with Kinesis, you earn on holding your gold and silver, and that earning comes from the fees that Kinesis generates. Now, maybe your audience is still yawning. Well, how much can I possibly earn? Let me blow your mind for a minute, okay? In May, the holders yield, and this is only possible because of blockchain. You know how many wallets hold how much gold percentage-wise, and you know how many fees were brought in, and you know what 15% of that is, and the 15% gets automatically divvied up among all the holders based on how much they hold, okay? I don't know if your audience wants to take a guess, but in May, the holders yield for holding gold on platform, that's all you're doing, swapping into gold and holding it. In May, it was 0.98%. That annualizes to 11.8% for holding gold on platform. You're holding arguably the safest asset there is, and you're not worried about inflation. You're not in dollars, and you're yielding, again, if it's annualized out, now the fees would have to stay that high, but based on May, if that's strung out for a whole year, you're earning 11.8% on your gold. And here's another key, paid in gold. Your stack is self-growing. So back to your point of, oh, I'm kind of looking for different ways to diversify where I can kind of set it and forget it, and it's safe, and I earn an income. Look no further. Look no further. It's gold. It is as safe as it gets. And right now we're running at almost 1% a month. And a little spoiler alert, we may be higher than that in June. And listen, when you log into Kinesis, this is how cool it is. You see a snapshot of the yield pool, and it's in real time. So you can sign up for an account, and you can see minute by minute, hour by hour, the fees grow and what that fee pool is for the holders pool or any of these other various pools we have that we can talk about. But again, the holders pool is the game changer. That's the game changer. That's a game changer for money. That's a game changer for gold and silver. And I mean, it's fascinating. Fascinating.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, I heard this and I was like, well, here in about a year or some change, I take some profits from crypto. Let's just say I take $1 million and go park it over here in gold on Kinesis. I'd make $110,000 a year in these yield paybacks. Again, that's right there. That's a full year's salary, and I can just sleep at night. I can go on vacation. I can play with my children, and I got that passive income. I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, let me blow your mind a couple more ways here. This is pretty cool, and anybody who knows me personally, again, I have Bitcoin. I understand Bitcoin. Silver is my thing, right? We can argue about why it is, but that's just my thing. Working at Kinesis, we can get paid in any asset on platform. So I get paid in silver. I don't get paid in dollars. I'm done. I'm done with burning down fiat currency. You're printing it out of thin air and you're handing me nothing for my hard work, right? I'm done with that. Now, what I want the audience to take away from this is that my paycheck drops. I have my ounces of silver. By the way, just to clarify, KAG, the silver token, that's by the ounce. It's divisible by 10,000ths of a decimal point place. So you can buy 1/10,000th of an ounce of silver. KAU, the gold token, is by the gram, but it's still divisible by 10,000. So you can buy 1/10,000th of a gram of gold. So you can purchase 50 cents, $1, $2, whatever, just like Bitcoin. It's just like cryptos. But the point is, I get paid in silver. It comes into my account whenever I want, and I need some fiat for bills, all the necessary things at the moment, right? Whenever I want, I simply, with one click on the exchange, I swap the silver to dollars. Takes like 4 seconds, right? It's at whatever current market price is. And then with one more click, I take those dollars and I withdraw to my bank account. That whole process, if I'm an absolute moron, right, takes like 30 seconds.
Right.
So once I hit withdrawal, if that's done by 10 o'clock at night, again, sitting in the United States, this is my experience over 2 years. If that's done by 10 o'clock at night, the dollars are in my bank account by 9 a.m. the next day. So that's how good our rails are now. But let me let your audience in on something. This year, fingers crossed, I don't want to give any dates, and it has been a moving target. But this year, our debit card is supposed to drop in the United States. What the debit card does is it attaches to your gold or your silver wallet, okay? What happens is when you go in store and you swipe that debit card, the exchange instantly sells your gold and silver for the dollars needed to make the purchase. And as that sets in, let me get a step ahead of you. You don't need dollars. You don't need a bank account. You don't care how much they hyperinflate the dollar. You're not in dollars, but you can still walk around in the real world and spend in dollars, even though you're holding in gold or silver. Again, another game changer. And we can even take this a step further, because when you swipe that card, the 0.22% fee is in play to switch from gold or silver to dollars. So those yields, when that card drops, spoiler alert, those yields are going to the moon as the general population of Kinesis begins to spend their gold and silver on things as they make a profit or whenever they don't want to be in dollars. I have friends that are in Kinesis that as soon as that card comes out, they're going 100% in the gold and silver. They're done. So when they make purchases, it's got to be
that makes sense. Look, Chris, you sold me. Tell me when that card comes out. I'm getting that card. I would love to ditch my Bank of America account. I've been looking for a way to do that now for a couple of years. So let me know when that is live. I want to know. Before I let you go, though, and we've spent a lot of time, covering the bases here. Hopefully, if anyone ever has questions, leave a question down in the comment. We can probably get Chris back on at some point if we have a bunch of questions. But I want to transition to crypto. We talked a lot about gold and silver, but tell me about crypto. And you talk about Bitcoin throughout. Tell me, let's go altcoins. What are some altcoins that you and maybe the team at Kinesis are excited about? Something you talked about earlier was tokenization. I love real world asset plays. They're some of my favorite coins. Yep. What are some cryptocurrencies that excite you right now, and maybe coins that people can get on the Kinesis exchange?
Okay, so I don't have a list in front of me. Maybe I should, but on the Kinesis exchange that we literally have hundreds, if not thousands of pairs at this point. So most of your favorite cryptos are going to be in there. If they're not, we are a very, I don't know what the word is, active company in listening to our customers. So if customers come in and there start to be demands for some crypto that's we don't have yet, for whatever reason, it's as simple as every customer that comes in, by the way, gets a dedicated account executive that you can email. They can actually pick up the phone and call, and usually they pick up or not, leave a message, whatever. But the point is, you could actually tell your account executive, hey, I'm loving Kinesis. This is fantastic. I'm holding some gold. I'm doing some things. I have some Bitcoin, but I want to see XYZ token on the exchange. That gets to your AE. And in meetings, that gets to the people that are the ones who make the decision about new coins coming on platform. So this is not a difficult task to get coins on platform that maybe we don't have on there yet. So that's a big deal for those of you looking to trade and having specific altcoins that you may not find.
Yeah, no, I think I've talked to you on a different phone call. I think one of the big advantages is we could get Kaspa on there. It seems like nobody here in the United States wants to sell spot Kaspa. So if Kinesis can get that done, I think you're getting a good amount of signups there.
I have that in my notes. The next meeting we have, I'm bringing that up. We're going to do our best to make that happen for you and your audience if that's a big one you guys are interested in.
There we go. There we go. Well, Chris, you got to keep us up to date on when all these things happen. Because again, I'm sitting here on the edge of my seat. I think there's a couple of coins that are not quite listed yet, but I think they're going to be listed very soon. Once my entire portfolio is listed there, my plan is to ditch my Coinbase account. No disrespect to Coinbase. I thank Coinbase for getting me into cryptocurrency. But at the end of the day, those fees, man, they eat it up. That 1% per swap. I'm ready to switch over to that 0.22% would be a dream. I can't wait to get my whole portfolio over into Kinesis. If you guys have enjoyed this interview, if you guys like Chris, make sure right now, smash the like button, hit subscribe, check out the link down below, and go sign up for a Kinesis account today. Stick around with the Bros channel as well so you get all the updates coming with your Kinesis account. Thank you for being here, Chris. I'll see you next time.
Yeah, Adios. We'll talk soon.
So there you have it, everybody. Make sure right now, if this did interest you, if you want to sign up, all that information is in the description. There will be a link for you to sign up right now. Don't hesitate to ask any questions in the comment section or come over into our Discord and let us know if you're having any trouble whatsoever. We will do everything we can to help you get signed up for Kinesis today. Smash that like button on your way out and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Adios.